What is up,
Hang
everybody?
on just a minuto.
A minuto?
A minuto. I gotta start this first.
Oh.
All right.
What was it?
That was the video. You want a video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, video's rolling.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Ready? 3, 2.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Zach with HF&O Podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Colton. Welcome back for episode 2. How are we doing today, man?
I'm not doing too bad. We're both kind of fighting. Sounds like a little bit of seasonal weather-related illnesses, possibly a little headache and a little cold. So hopefully we can tough through this thing and at least get some decent conversation rolling tonight. I'm pretty excited about it, though.
Yeah, hopefully so. It sounds like you're a little worse off than I am. I'm just kind of being a wimp about my headache, really.
Yeah, I got a bag of cough drops over here on the table. So if you guys hear some rustling around of a bag of some sort, I'm reaching for another one. So
It's not your Cheetos?
No, it's not Cheetos. I left those at home. I'm trying to cut back a little bit. I got a wedding to get ready for, so.
It's your Hall's cherry flavored relief?
They are cherry flavored. I don't think they're the extra relief. They're just the regular.
Regular relief? No, you're still sick.
I know. I should probably up. I got 80 drops and I'm through about 60 of them, so.
That's a lot of drops, man. Who's the wedding for?
Well, I got my buddy Sean's wedding, who I hunt with this weekend, and then I got to get ready for my wedding in September. So I found somebody that's willing to put up with me for a little bit longer than what she probably anticipated to. So we'll take hold of it while we can.
She didn't mean to put up with you that long?
I don't think so. I think I kind of roped her into it.
Nice, well done. All right, that's all you can do, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, any new developments for you this week in the hunting or fishing or channel realm?
Well, I guess we're pretty excited for the launch of this podcast. I know we were kind of looking through some statistics and we got some really great feedback. So thank you to all of our awesome listeners that have not only listened to the podcast, but also sent us messages about, asking about when the next upload is and all that. It makes it really cool that we're getting that feedback from you guys and being able to go in and do this and be really excited about what we got going on. I guess other than that, hunting wise, like we talked about, we're all wrapped up here. I might get on some coyote hunting in the next couple of weeks, which I've been really wanting to get after. I went a couple weeks ago with my buddy Colton Miller up there in Northeast Iowa, and we were up there to goose hunt. But going to try and do some of that. And then I'm getting a new goose call tomorrow, which I'm pretty excited about.
Nice.
So, yeah, I'm working with Brandon through Iowa Hunting Products, who's actually an Iowa guy. So I'm pretty excited to be supporting somebody local. If you guys have not checked out Brandon's page at all with Iowa Hunting Products, make sure to swing on over there and check him out on both Facebook and Instagram. He doesn't know I'm doing this at all, but he's been really awesome to work with. He does custom calls, whether it be ducks, geese, or ducks, geese, duck calls, goose calls. He also does turkey calls, and I know he's got another page too. I can't remember the one off the top of my head, but he does a really good call work with custom calls and things like that. So stop on over there and check him out.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen his page before, and I kind of am considering getting a new goose call as well. But I don't know. I don't think mine sounds terrible. I have to be able to justify the cost. That's something. At what point do you say, like, I need a new call? You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm still blowing on like one of them old flutes that you find at Walmart or Tyson's. That's what I've got right now. Dude, for a goose call.
My goose call is a Canada Hammer that came with a DVD and like a little cheapy electronic.
Those are the best way to go, man.
I've killed geese with it. I've turned them and put them on the water. I'm not saying every time or anything by any means, but I don't think that my goose call is hold me back, really,
Yeah, I've been with some guys that are really good callers, and it's amazing to see the difference between like my calling and theirs. I mean, my flute, obviously I have my limitations on it, and so that's where I kind of messaged out to Brandon. I'm like, hey, here's what I want in a call. I said I'm not a very experienced caller by any means. I mean, I told him I'm still in a goose flute. And he's like, that's actually great because he's got a new product rolling out. That's my call. And it's actually pretty reasonable. I think it's $75 or something like that. Don't quote me on that.
That's not bad.
No, but it's a shorter read, which is really nice. So it makes it easier to call. So that's one thing where I'm like, I want to practice a ton over the off season and get really, really good at that because I plan on hunting a lot more fields for goose feeds, which I'm really excited about. that's something that I hunt a lot over water for ducks and stuff, and it's really fun to get in a field and to goose hunt in the field. And with the upcoming North Dakota trip, I want to be firing on all cylinders and come October to do that. So I don't know. Do you have any? I always kind of listen through some other stuff. Do you go listen to anything in particular? Like, do you go and ever sit and listen to birds at all, like on ponds or anything, like local ponds, and listen to how they react to calls and seeing birds and things like that?
I do. I pay attention to them. Like, I'll go to park ponds, stuff like that in town when I'm bait fishing, actually, for going catch catfish bait.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to them. I am admittedly not that great at attention to detail. So as far as picking, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It sounds like duck quacking. I'll try and listen to the cadence. I'll try and mimic it. But I bet if you took somebody that was really kind of tuned in on the specifics of what that duck sounds like versus what my call sounds like, that they're going to kind of, they'll be able to tell me what the difference is. But I do pay attention to it. I just wish my attention to detail was a little better,
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to, before we get too far away from it, I do want to also thank everybody for all the support. I want to echo kind of what Colton said. We've heard some great feedback. I've heard some people on my end as well that really liked our first episode. And it's only going up from here. I've had a great time doing this podcast with Colton, even though it's brand new at it. I thought about it all week and what kind of topics can we do? What can we do in the future? Always, thinking about how to make it better going forward. Right now it's kind of tough because there's not, hunting here is wrapped up. Unless you're some kind of an avid rabbit or squirrel hunter, your hunting seasons are closed here in Iowa, and we are a ways from ice out still, unfortunately. But as our hunting seasons progress, those are the episodes I'm really looking forward to, because we're going to get to kind of break down, every week we're going to be out in the field doing something. Surely we'll be up to something. We'll have new stuff to talk about and interesting experiences, interesting people to talk with, and want to get some good guests on this podcast as well. Hopefully the people that we hunt with or people that we encounter, we can get them on here too.
Definitely. Yeah. That's one of the things I'm excited about, is getting people to share even more stories as to what they got going on, how they do things, and share that with everybody. That'd be pretty cool. So it's one of the things we talked about is getting out and going ice fishing.
Yeah. I know you were saying you don't ice fish actively. Before you hit record, we were chatting a little bit. Have you ever been before, any individual time, ever been ice fishing?
I'm not exactly the most petite individual, so I haven't really trusted myself out on the ice yet. I know there's limitations to when you should go out and not go out. So I've never personally been out ice fishing, but I don't know. It's probably just because I don't trust myself on the ice. I don't know. Have you gone out much?
I've been out a few times. Man, people drive trucks out on the ice, though, depending on the
and
ice.
Then people fall through. Yeah. I mean, I think I've seen posts all over Facebook of people falling through the ice.
This is true.
With trucks. And
greatest fear is falling through ice that's over my head. Because it's like, if you think about it, if you fall through the ice, you go under. Well, sometimes it's you get disoriented and you fall into the ice. Uh-huh. Well, first of all, it'd be a massive system shock falling in that water.
Yeah, you get shock.
And then you fall through the ice, and sometimes you can't find the hole back up. So can you imagine how you'd be trapped under ice, trying to get up? The surface is right there, but you can't get through it. That'd be terrifying.
I don't even want to think about that.
Then if you get out, you die of hypothermia.
Yeah. Well, not always.
Not always. That's true. Not always. But anyway, that's one of my greatest irrational fears.
Mine was always, my dad always ingrained this in me, is if I go over the side of the boat when we're out duck hunting and I got waders on, the first thing I got to do is get rid of those things, because they'll fill up with water and they'll sink me to the bottom, which isn't exactly true.
Yeah,
I've seen some YouTube videos and stuff on guys that have tried it. I'm not going to.
I have too. Yeah, I usually don't hunt water that's that deep though. I'm mostly in marshes for the most part.
You're doing a lot of walk-ins and kayaks along the shoreline. Mm-hmm. When I first started, we go out. And my dad's always on the safer side of things, which is good, because unfortunately I picked up on some of it, but not all of it. But, we do 20, 30-minute boat rides in the dark, clear across everything. And, you could hit a log or whatever at any time. So, always wear your life jackets out while you're out and about and doing that stuff. But there's a lot of variables. For example, not putting a plug in or anything like that. You get too excited and you get taken off. I was always taught to make sure you had all your boxes checked, no matter how good the hunt might be or anything like that. That's an important part to hunting, is making it back.
Yeah, that's true. We're making it out there.
Yeah, that too.
If you don't have, speaking from experience, if you do not have your boat plug in, you will know immediately that your boat plug's not in. Like, you'll go to back in, and then by the time you walk around to the back of your boat, you're like, where did all this water come from?
Uh-huh.
We've done that twice, I think.
You didn't learn after the first time?
Well,
what's up with you and filling up your boat with water?
Let me put it this way. I'm the guy that backs the boat down the ramp, not the guy that jumps in and takes it off the ramp.
I used to be the guy that does almost everything.
To be fair, like one of the times was like our first time taking the boat out.
Okay.
We forgot to put the plug in, and like the second time was like the third time we had it out. We always triple check the boat plug now, but
yeah, we've got in the habit where I'll pull it up the ramp and I'll let it drain there on the ramp as I'm kind of moving around some of the stuff, and then I'll put it directly back in. That way I make sure that's in there for the next time. And then as I'm doing my walk around and taking off all my straps and everything, I check it one last time, and then boat's in the water. Because in the morning it's gung ho. I mean, I get to the spot, I like to sleep in, and I like to grab Casey's breakfast pizza beforehand. So if I'm racing somebody to a spot, I like to make sure all those boxes are checked as fast as I can. So
Casey's breakfast pizza before putting on waders and going hunting is living dangerously.
No, it's not. Not if you make sure to do your pre-morning.
Do your due diligence.
My buddies find it funny. I'll send them a text and say it went good, so it's going to be a good hunt today, and they just crack up every time we get to the boat ramp. I'm like, whoo, buddy, it's going to be a good day.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll definitely have to be at the boat ramp, or like if we get out there, and then you're sitting there on your waders. It's the worst when you're in a kayak. Because like this, I mean, what am I going to do? Paddle back to my truck? I mean, in the middle of this marsh.
You could.
You get the Casey's breakfast pizza raging inside you. It's not good.
What's your favorite? I know we've talked about, breakfast in the field before. Do you have a go-to that you like to cook up or take out with you while you go out hunting?
Yeah, I'm more of like a basic. I like just a good, hearty, American man breakfast. Sausage, bacon, and eggs, just fresh right there. A large quantity of coffee as well to wash it down with. That's got to be my favorite. I do want to try to make scrambles. Like, I just want to get like a hard Tupperware.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like the one that you'd store like juice in or something like that.
Yep.
Pre-crack the eggs, because what we've been doing is we'll get egg beaters. Have you ever used those? Best way to transport eggs in the field. Like they're pre-cracked eggs, and you buy them in the store. They're right next to like where you buy the sour cream and like the dairy and stuff like that. It tastes just like eggs.
I'll have to check that out. I've never seen that.
Dude, it's great. You don't have to worry about your eggs breaking. It's just like in a carton, and you pour it out, and then they don't taste any different at all than scrambled eggs. But I'll do some fresh cracked egg like the night before, and I want to just dice up like maybe some ham, do like some bacon bits and some onions, and put like some seasoning and stuff like that in there, and just carry it out in like a 2-quart, or that'd be a lot. Maybe like a 2-quart container, depending on how many people I got with me. Then I just got this like scramble thing just ready to go. Just dump it in the pan and go.
That's not a bad way to do it.
Yeah.
We went out when Zach and I went out for the last time of the year this last year, and Zach had offered to bring breakfast since we went out on my boat. I had the grill and everything, and we get out there and you had just bought, what was it, tortillas that were fresh? We were going to make breakfast burritos.
Yeah, we'd opened it up with tortillas.
Yeah, we opened up the tortillas and I was like, these are a little firm. I pulled open a couple layers of them and there was mold all over them on brand new tortillas. So we scratched that. Thank goodness I had some extra bowls in the boat. And we had breakfast scramble that morning.
You gave me the receipt back. Like, you should take this back to Hy-Vee. Like, my lazy ass is not going to take this back to Hy-Vee.
I don't.
Just like, whatever.
I don't blame you.
$3. Who am I going to yell at? There's some 16-year-old kid. I don't know. I didn't sell these to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was disappointing. But then we could say we're like keto or something, right?
I don't know. Yeah, because it was what? It was that we had sausage tortillas, and we had hash browns. Mm-hmm. Did we didn't put eggs in that, did we? No, we did sausage, hash browns, and cheese. Yeah. Is what we did.
But it was still good. Like, yeah. I'll eat a breakfast bowl any day. Like, I don't even really need the tortilla. Is just an item that you use to hold your food. I mean, really,
yeah,
it's all right, but
I'll take. I think if I'm willing to put in the effort, I like doing sausage and eggs and hash browns and then putting them in a breakfast bowl or even a burrito. We used to do pancakes. When my dad would come with us, I just don't have the patience for it. Like I want to be watching birds. My dad would sit there and make pancakes for us when my buddies and I first would go out. And as soon as we had a slow time, he's like, "All right, let's start making breakfast." And then once you know it, the birds started coming in. So that was kind of our little thing is we'd always start making breakfast. And they do. They're just hungry. So, and we just greet them with gunfire typically.
There you go.
And we most time miss. But
I've never had pancakes in the marsh, but I'd love to. And I'm an 8-year-old when it comes to pancakes, so gotta have chocolate chips in them. You know,
we'll do it next year.
Syrup. Let's do it. And that is true. I don't know what it is. Like you kind of laugh about it, like, oh, they always know when you're getting a snack out. They always know when you're doing something else. They always know when you stand up to take a piss. Like they always do.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. Like you can be there. We haven't seen a bird in 2 hours, and then you go and like turn that grill on or whatever, you know, and all of a sudden, what do you know? Birds.
Do you have a favorite? I just had this pop in my mind as you said taking a piss. Do you have a favorite doing something else activity? And mine's going to the bathroom, but
Sure.
Doing something else and birds coming in. What's your story on that?
Doing something else and birds coming in.
So like I can give mine, for example.
Yeah,
so
go ahead, because I'm going to have to think about it for a minute. I don't know if I got like a really interesting one off the top of my head, but yeah, go ahead.
Mine was my dad and I were out hunting, just the two of us, and I was younger. It was probably 2 or 3 years into duck hunting. I still remember this. I was out, hopped out of the boat, starting to take a leak, and all of a sudden my dad's like, "Colton, get back in the boat. There's birds coming." So, you know, I just stopped and got as much of my pants zipped up as I could and grabbed the gun, and we had 2 teal egg come in. I blasted mine, and Dad's too busy laughing. He missed his on the left-hand side. I came sprinting back to the boat full speed and jumped in, grabbed my gun, and shot one. I'm laughing at him as he's missing his bird go off the left-hand side. So,
yeah, I definitely have a story like that where I wound up hitting the bird. Trying to think if I had anything else. I don't have anything really. I mean, most of it's just like, yeah, you know, there I was taking a piss and a bird came in. I missed it. But, yeah, I mean, it's.
I guess I have a couple between that and breakfast, but I don't know. I was catching you off guard. But, you know, speaking of hunting with my dad, I mean, that's kind of how I got started in hunting. How'd you get started up? What got you and your background in hunting? What fired, did the kindling for your fire for hunting and your passion to be outdoors?
Man, it goes way back, I guess. Like when I was a kid, I used to like a lot of reading and really like history. So if you know my channel, if you didn't listen to the last episode, my channel is Deeply Driven Outdoors. I used to be Iowa Plainsman Outdoors. Colton is Chasing Iowa Outdoors. Check us both out. We have plenty of content on YouTube. When I was a kid, I used to do a lot of reading and stuff like that. I was fascinated by kind of like the mountain man lifestyle and the Old West and how that was this like simple sustenance way of living. Always was really fascinated by that, even since I was a kid. At the time when I was a kid in the 20th century, I wasn't really sure how that would manifest itself in the 20th century, you know, today's day and age. But I found myself being drawn towards hunting as well as fishing. Fishing was a little bit different start, and a little more traditional start with fishing. But I'll get to that in a second. With the hunting, I'd had an interest in it. I was always kind of drawn to it. I wasn't really able to articulate at the time how I was drawn to it or why, but I always was drawn to it. So my uncle wound up taking me out. My Uncle Dave wound up taking me out when I was 13 for a youth deer season. He's got some ground in southern Iowa, and within, you know, it was a drop in the bucket. It's his ground. He knew where the deer were going to be. I was 13 years old. The deer hadn't been shot at yet. They weren't even aware that it was hunting season yet. You know, youth season goes first. 15 minutes I had a doe down. You know, the next year I did youth season with him again. 45 minutes I had, you know, my little 8-point buck down. You know, and then from there on out, I was hooked. Really like deer hunting. I went out with him again to do muzzleloader, and I was using. I don't think it's a Hawken traditional, but he had something that looked kind of old schooly, and I was so bad with that muzzleloader. Like I was terrible. I missed 5 times. I missed the same deer twice with the muzzleloader when I was 15. You know, early muzzleloader season. It was terrible.
Were you shaking or?
To this day, I couldn't tell you to this day. One of them was probably 40 yards away, 30 yards away. I had a little forky buck. Shot at him. He turned 180 degrees and stopped and looked at me. He knew I only had one shot.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he was crazy. So I started out deer hunting with my uncle, more or less. Got my first few deer with him. Got older, got into high school years, and just sort of, you make some friends that hunt. You kind of start going out with them, and I did some deer drives, like shot. If you're not familiar with deer drives, we use that term here, like shotgun hunting, deer driving in Iowa. I don't know if it's a national term or not, but you go to one side of the timber, you drop off some guys that are like in a line on that side of the timber. And you take trucks and you go and drop off some guys on the other side of the timber, and those guys walk in towards the guys that are standing on the opposite end, drive deer towards one another and shoot them as they run out. Did that a few times. Not crazy about it. Kind of poked around, with hunting and found out what I liked, what I didn't like. And then actually I was 20 when my buddy Piper, which you would have seen him in some of the 2017 videos, my buddy Piper actually took me out duck hunting for the first time, and he had to talk me into it. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't interested. I was a deer hunter, at the time. And I did some pheasant hunting too. My family, I don't come from a hunting family. But if my family were to have any kind of a hunting background, it'd be pheasant hunting. Like my grandpa used to do some, probably like in the 70s and 80s, used to do some pheasant hunting.
Back when it used to be good.
Yeah, well, they say it's making a comeback. I see them everywhere now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out duck hunting. You'll hear them just all over the place.
That's good to hear.
But my dad isn't, wasn't and isn't a hunter. Don't have any brothers, so I didn't come from a hunting family. Excuse me. So my buddy had to kind of talk me into it because I started out with doing pheasants and deer. I had a buddy, he had to twist my arm into going out duck hunting. It just didn't seem interesting to me. I just didn't, okay, whatever. It's a duck. It's, I didn't get it.
Don't want to shoot a fast-moving target is what it was. You're probably scared more than anything.
Probably. No, I don't know. I just didn't understand it. It was just this weird world to me. And then I went out the first time and I was hooked. And we went out a few times that season. And then we went out several more times. For several more years. Excuse me. A lot more than several more times. We went out for several more years. And then we kind of went our separate ways in life for a little while. And I started trying to learn how to duck hunt some on my own, where I was like, before you go with somebody else and like when you're the low man on the totem pole, is it just me? I'm not wrong. There's a hierarchy in the duck plant.
There is.
You know what I mean, right?
Like who calls the shot, who does this, who moves the decoys, who
says where we're hunting, how we're hunting. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's like that universally, as far as I know. There's always a pit boss. I was always the low man on the totem pole. I'm like, yeah, I'll throw you some money for gas and help pitch you on breakfast, help pick up decoys. But I didn't really learn about duck hunting that way. Like I have to do it myself and screw it up and go back and do it right.
Yep.
So I didn't really learn about duck hunting. I just went on the hunts and sometimes got to pull the trigger. So when I broke out and doing it on my own, where I was all of a sudden the pit boss, it was like, oh man, I have no idea how to scout. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm too damn stubborn to give up. So I didn't quit duck hunting. I just had to relearn it, how to really do it by myself. So I struggled. And then if you would have seen some of my videos, I've always said I'm going to go into why I think I suck at duck hunting. And this is it. If you see my video starting in 2017, that was when I started to get a little better. Like I was really bad for a few years there. But I think that has to do with it. I started out duck hunting, kind of low man on the totem pole sort of thing, and didn't really learn how to hunt, as far as how do you set up your decoys in a way that makes sense and how do you scout and all that good stuff. So, but now I've really applied myself to it and I'm on the up and up anyway. So, yeah.
And I think the best way to learn how to hunt, I mean, obviously there's some things I hope people understand about ethics and things like that, but trial and error, I mean, that's all you can do. I'm the same way. I like to learn firsthand. I was lucky enough to have, my dad, who had done some hunting when he was younger. He grew up trapping and he grew up doing some hunting and things like that. And I got into hunting I found when I was a kid, we had a black lab. His name was CJ.
If I can interject, we'll pick up a CJ in a second.
Yeah.
Does your dad still trap?
He doesn't. No, my dad's gone from one in the totem pole to the clear other side. He's all corporate, finance, that kind of guy.
So you can't trap?
I don't know if he would or not, but
I've wanted to learn trapping bad, and I've heard it's one of those things you have to be taught. Someone has to teach you how to do it.
Yeah, I just don't think he has the time to do it. Is the hard part.
I've heard it's pretty time consuming.
It definitely is. I mean, when you're trapping, you got to check those lines every day. So that was his route. He'd go check his trap lines. He'd go to school. He'd check them again the night, and then
sure,
that's what he did.
Sure.
So, but yeah.
Your lab, CJ.
Yeah, sorry.
I told you.
No, you're good.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my lab, CJ, when I was a kid growing up, he was the lab we had ever since I was born. My mom got him for him as a gift to my dad, actually. So I was going through picture books, and I found one day I found this picture book of the lab CJ and my dad out duck hunting. I go, Dad, what is this? He goes, oh, don't worry about that. You don't want to get into that. And I was like, why? And I know exactly why. It's financially. He's like, I was trying to look out for you. It's addicting. And I go, well, okay. But after a few months of convincing him, he's like, okay, fine. If this is what you really want to do, here's what we'll do. And so we bought a little Karsten's canvas back, which I don't know why, but I love that boat. It was a little fiberglass boat. We made a PVC flip-up blind, standard fast grass, all that stuff. And we went out to a spot that I know you've hunted before, and there's a telephone pole out there, and we boated in. We had a little 5-horsepower Johnson motor that zipped us around. And
is the telephone pole still there?
It's still there. If you face to the northwest, it's still there.
Okay.
I remember looking at it, and I started hunting when I was in 4th grade. Is when my dad took me out for the first time. And that's the first time I'd ever been hunting. And I remember being a kid, I had my little waders. I was all excited, my U-20 gauge Charles Daly gun. And I remember looking at the telephone pole, I was watching it flash. And I'm like, Dad, is it time to shoot yet? Well, of course, it's pitch black. I didn't know anything about this. So wait a few hours, birds come in, and I had this one lay on the water, and he lines me up, and whammo, I knocked one back. And that's how I got started duck hunting. And ever since then, I hunted with him we hunted for a lot the first year and a half, or the first 2 years we hunted with just us, and then I convinced him to let me get a dog. And that's my lab Max, who you hunted with this last year. Max is 13 this year. And so I got a dog. We trained him all of ourselves. We got a bigger boat, and that's when I could start bringing people. So I brought Ryan Wickart, who's one of my really good buddies, brought him out for the first time. He'd been a deer hunter, introduced him to waterfowl, and he got hooked. And then I also brought out my good buddy Sean Rennick, who it's his wedding this weekend that I'm going to be in, and I'm really excited about that. But
did I hunt with him?
Yeah, Sean.
The first time
you hunted with Sean. He was the taller one out of the two. It was him and
Was
Hunter.
He the nurse or the IT guy?
The IT guy.
Okay.
He's the techie guy.
All right.
I don't know how him and I get along, and I don't know how I'm the best man at his wedding, but we get together pretty good. But so I got him into waterfowl hunting too, and I've actually got a couple other people. And not to toot my own horn, I just love bringing people out and sharing the experience.
Dude, I'm the same way.
And it's been weird because I've always been the top. You said the pit boss or whatever.
Boss, yeah.
That's kind of how I am in our group. Is I was always the one that had the boat. I had the decoys. I had all the I spent the time in the field, and I'd take people out. And when I was in high school, man, we could just get after them. We'd hunt Wednesday afternoons. We'd hunt Friday nights, Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings. It was a blast. And I got these guys into it, and now we all have full-time jobs, so it makes it kind of hard to get around and do stuff. But planning trips and lining up on Sundays because that's the day that I get to go out and hunt. I mean, it's been a blast. And, I've been able to teach those guys kind of what I know. And I don't know hardly anything compared to some people, but at least I can share some of that knowledge into what I got going on and help teach them. And it's cool to see a passion burn in somebody else that you kindled the fire for. And my buddies have done a great job of being, awesome people to hunt with. They're great friends. They mean a lot to me. And, I'm just so blessed to have them to be a part of that. So cheers to that.
Absolutely. 29:30. Cheers. We have to make that an Easter egg in every podcast.
Problem is, though, if we do that, we do the video, because right now our video is still recording.
Right.
So.
Sure. Well, that's all right.
They'll have to watch
the YouTube version gets a bonus. Lucky you guys.
So if you guys are on YouTube and you're watching this and you're listening to us on the podcast too, and we say cheers, we cut out, and our thing is we'll take a drink because we're limited to 30 minutes of recording time. And so we're just going to kind of do a break because this is free and it's really easy for us to edit and access this. And I like it. I'm okay with doing it this way.
Yeah. So if you're sitting around home on YouTube, this is a YouTube exclusive segment. If you're sitting around on YouTube, it's 29:30.
We're
Cheers.
drinking beer.
So. That's right. That's right.
That's how we get through this thing, right?
That's great. I just like beer, man.
It's cool. We get to hang out. It's a Tuesday night.
Right?
And we're sitting here drinking beer, a couple beers.
I'd be wasting time on Netflix right now, honestly. If it weren't for this. This is much more productive.
Cool. All right. Well, you ready to jump back into the podcast?
Okay, let's hit it.
All right. Cool. So, I guess speaking of people that we, hunt with, I know you've got a few people that you've mentioned. What's kind of who's your core hunting crew? I know crew. Man, it's
crew.
I work today. Okay, it's 9:40 at night, and I work today. So, who do you typically hunt with? How do you know them and all that stuff?
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same question, actually. That's good to kind of get in, gives you some backstory on, so I'm assuming many of the people that listen at this point are probably listening from our YouTube channels. So give you a little bit of backstory on what you see there. My main crew, so Andy he's been my right-hand man in the outdoors for some time. I met him through music. Actually, I used to play drums in a metal band, and my band was playing a small outdoor festival that Andy was roadieing at. Wound up liking the band, and he came to several of our shows, and we wound up hanging out, and got him really into hunting and into fishing and stuff like that. And we became buddies in 2013 or 2012, 2013, I think it was. And then we started hunting and fishing together shortly after. Calvin, if you've seen him, so he lives 2 hours away, but you would have seen him if you watched my boat rescue video. He came out on the boat rescue. He is Nicole's nephew. And he lives like 2 hours from me. So I've known him. Nicole and I have been together for 10 years. So I've known him for 10 years. And Justin, you will have seen in some of my videos as well. I don't get to see that guy enough. He lives a couple hours. Well, not a couple hours. He lives about an hour and 10, hour and 20 minutes away, something like that. And I met him through the channel. I think he messaged me on Facebook. That was actually kind of a fun story. So I actually have that video, the first time I ever met Justin, up on my channel.
What channel? Where was he? Has a channel too now, doesn't he?
He does have a channel.
Muddy River
Outdoors.
Yep. Check him out too.
Yeah.
Give him a follow.
Check Justin
Subscribe
out.
him.
Let's see. Would that have been 2018? I think we hung out. He messaged me on Facebook on just my Iowa Plainsman at the time. It was Iowa Plainsman page. Just saying, hey, do you want to go bow fishing? I've got a spot on the river with 2 campers, and I've got a big boat that'll, extra bows, and that is his jam. Like when it comes down to outdoors, Colton and I talk about duck hunting or fishing, or in my case, diddy poles, whatever we do. Justin's is like his bow fishing. So he had us down to his spot, camped out there. Myself and Andy went. Usually if somebody asks me to go do something I don't know, I'm always like, can I bring a friend? I'm socially awkward in person, so I'm just like, I bring a moral support friend with me. But he had us down, and we had a blast. We ran lines. We didn't do very good running lines down there that time, but we did shoot some fish, got us into bow fishing. We really clicked. So I've been hunting and fishing with him since. And Matt, Indiana Jones, more or less I met him through, kind of through music. My girlfriend is friends with his now ex-girlfriend. Sorry, Matt. And we clicked. I mean, we're similar kinds of people, and he's kind of getting into the outdoors. He's been in and out of the outdoors. He's always liked fishing, I think, but then kind of got out of it for a while. Got into more like motorcycles and stuff, and then I've been getting back into fishing. And he's had a good time coming along. We've had a good time having him along. So that's kind of how the current crew's been assembled. I mean, we've had some other people that we've been out with once or twice or stuff like that aren't in the main group. But like when I'm thinking of I'm gonna have a good weekend, who am I gonna call? These people, you know what I mean? I don't know if you had the same kind of thing, right? Like you have some people that you're like, they're all right to hang out with now and again, but then you got some guys that
absolutely
on your go-to list, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I've got Ryan, who I've been buddies with clear back into before middle school. Sean and I started becoming really good buddies in high school. We golfed together, so that was a big thing. We spent a lot of time together golfing. I got my buddy Colton Miller up in Northeast Iowa, who he's had us up a few times to hunt, and I'm hoping to have him down a few times this summer to go bow fishing, things like that. He's kind of on the newer side of things, but I funny thing is I bumped into him one day out on a kayak in a marsh that I was scouting and got a Snapchat. Now we talk all the time. I mean, it's hilarious what hunting.
That's how you first met?
Yeah, he was out with his dad on a boat, and I was out on my kayak scouting the spot for teal season when I was in school, and bumped into him and got his Snapchat, yada yada yada. And now we've hunted together quite a few handfuls of times, and we're planning some cool stuff coming up. And the other person that I hunt with quite a bit would be Drew Pringle. He's another guy. I do a lot of goose hunting with him. He's gonna possibly maybe have us out ice fishing. I'm hoping he's up in Lake of the Woods right now, I think.
Oh,
so
that is one of my favorite lakes ever to fish.
I've never been up there.
Love it, dude.
I don't even know where that's at.
We got to go there. I don't mean to hijack what you're talking about.
No, you're good, man. You
said Lake of the Woods, and that's one of my favorite places. Literally, I'm not no sarcasm. That's one of my favorite places on the planet. I've fished it, so you haven't been out there. For those that don't know too, it is a lake that's on the border of Minnesota and Ontario. I have fished the Minnesota side of it once and the Ontario side of it twice. And the Ontario side of it is, sorry, Minnesota, Ontario side is bar none better. Like, much better. But Minnesota side's okay. I think, I don't remember the exact stats. It has something like 14,500 islands on it.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so you can go on this. It's an enormous lake. But you can go on it, and you can feel like you're not on a lake that's as big as it is. And you can feel like it's more secluded than it is because there's so many islands blocking the view and blocking the waves, and you can just – it's an amazing place, especially on the Canadian side. The Minnesota side is like there's a huge bay on the Minnesota side that like you go out in the middle of it and you can't see land anywhere. But yeah. Anyways, sorry, I got sidetracked.
No,
it's one
you're
of my
good.
favorite lakes on earth, man. I love Lake of the Woods.
I've seen some video.
Your buddy is up there.
He's up there. He's probably drinking a few cold ones right now and slaying some fish. He's been sending me a couple pictures, and it sounds like he's been getting after him pretty good.
Snapchat. After some walleye.
I don't eat. I checked him at work. Shame on me, but get a couple pictures here and there, and I think he's had a few walleyes and obviously the panfish and things like that he's gotten after, but.
Sure.
Yeah, Drew's had me along on some really, really good goose hunts, which has been awesome and very fortunate for that. But yeah, I mean, I got a good group of core guys that I take, and every once in a while we'll mix in a few people that they want to bring along or whatever. Or I mean, it's always nice to have some extra hands as long as they're willing to do things the right way. If you want to have people carry some extra hands to carry in decoys or whatever, as long as you can make sure your hide's good. I mean, I always find it cool to hunt with new people. So I think this coming year, I got a few other people too that I'd kind of like to hunt with that we've been kind of talking back and forth on social media, and we'll see what we can get after this next year. So I guess another one I forgot to mention was TJ.
How could you forget TJ?
I know. TJ. Man, like I said, it's 9-something at night. But yeah, TJ is actually going to be joining us on the North Dakota trip. I don't have anything with any videos out with him yet, but look for him on the North Dakota trip. He's also up there in that northeast side. Him and Colton are actually related. I don't know. It's kind of like you and Matt Indiana Jones, the huge matrix of how they're actually connected or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's dating some yada, yada, yada. That's kind of what TJ is. But TJ is a really good dude. He's one of the guys that actually looked up and has gotten us some permission on some property up there in North Dakota. Nice. So looking forward to doing some stuff with that. So
nice. Yeah. Hopefully we can do some stuff together too. I'm looking forward to if we get together and doing some fishing, doing some hunting together. Maybe plan a trip or two if you're down for that.
I'm an awful fisherman. I'm gonna tell you that. I'm a catcherman, not a fisherman sometimes. Right. But I'll show up, and I think we're talking about doing diddy poles and stuff.
Yeah.
I did that.
Have you out doing diddy poles
way back in the day, and that's a blast. It's kind of like the alligator fishing thing, but with catfish in Iowa.
It's a good time, and it comes with its ups and downs. Like we started out river catfishing. I started out river catfishing in 2014. There was a guy that used to pal around with that he was always at the river, and we'd get off work and he would be like, "Hey, you'd already be at the river. I got bait, just come down." So I just carry my rods with me in my truck to work, and then we just predictably, "Hey, I got bait, come down." So we'd rod and reel fish all the time from the bank on the river, and there was something that was absolutely beautiful about that. There's like this simplicity among myself and Andy. We'll talk about the summer of 2014. That's what it was. There's just a simplicity to it. Like sometimes we didn't even catch fish, but we'd be out there on a Wednesday night till 3 a.m. Everybody having to work the next morning, and this is 45 minutes away. So 3 a.m. just on the bank, we'd be a lot of times drinking a few beers. We'd have a campfire. It just didn't matter. 4 times a week we're out there. Oftentimes in the bank, nobody in the group had a boat. But we were just together and hanging out, and we were having a campfire and listening to the crickets in the background and that kind of a thing, and dreaming about nobody had caught a flathead. We were dreaming about, wouldn't it be cool if we just catch a flathead?
Mm-hmm.
And it's that kind of thing. I think it's like the nostalgia of that kind of moment that matters more so than how big of a fish did you get?
Yeah.
How successful is your hunt? It's just having memories like that's the really important part. And I'm not saying it's not important to catch big fish. I like catching big fish, but it's that's the stuff that really drives you out to do it, And the next year, I remember sitting on the bank and out loud I said, "Next year I will have a boat." And I had a boat next year, and then we started getting out on the river in a boat. And then we started pounding lines. My uncle, who got me into deer hunting, actually got me. He was the first person I ran lines with. A smaller river runs through his property. He'd do a camping trip down kind of in the bottoms at his place. And when I was younger, and have several of his friends out and family members, in-laws, stuff like that. Pound diddy poles. That was my first diddy pole experience. I was probably, 8 or 9, maybe something like that, 10. Ran lines down at his place, but other than that, we got on, started doing it ourselves after I got that boat, and the rest is history. That was probably 2015. I got that boat, and we started filming in 2017.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Having a boat definitely opens up your opportunities.
It does. I will tell you what, though. I think I got off on a little bit of a tangent, but that's part of what I miss. The downside of diddy poles is we don't do rod and reel anymore. We hardly ever. I don't say never. Sometimes we make it a big point to be like, "Hey, let's do it like the old times, right?"
Yeah,
we'll kick it old school down on the riverbank. But we don't do that anymore. We don't really get together and have the campfire and set up our chairs and with a big cooler of beer, and we have those little bells on the rod tip.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
If you're familiar, just wait for that ding 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 ding. To send everybody racing over whose ever rod it was to see what they're pulling in. You kind of miss that with diddy poles. As you pound your poles out, you pound your poles in, and then you pull the boat out, come back 6 hours later, 10 hours later, whatever, and go and check them, and then you pull up big cats, and it's awesome. When you pull to a pole and see that pole bouncing, but there's things you miss about just rod and reel.
That's why you do that while you're waiting for your. What are you doing the 6 to 10 hours that you're waiting for your poles? You can be rod and reel fishing.
Dude, a lot of times we'll come back and we got chores and errands and stuff like that, But you are right. We always talk about, we're gonna go pound the poles in, and then let's go somewhere and rod and reel fish, and then we don't ever. Man, it's just like, man, we got to do that sometime.
Yeah.
And I need to get rod and reel videos on my channel. I have not found a great way to record them up to this point. However, I think as of tonight, I'm now a proud owner of the GoPro Hero 7 Black to fix all of my action cam issues, hopefully. So I think if I do that with the chest mount, I see some fishing channels will do it with the chest mount, kind of puts you right there in the reel. I think that'll help some.
That's what I bought a chesty, which I'm excited to use. And the GoPros are a great tool. I've used the Hero 5s for my channel for the last couple of years, and I've really enjoyed that. And my fiance just got me a new Hero 8, which is awesome. She's supporting my channel and sharing my stuff, which is pretty cool. So
your fiance is the hero.
My Kristen, if you're listening to this, which she does, she listens to this stuff, which is kind of crazy. I figured she'd be tired of hearing me talk, but
that's cool.
She got me that for Christmas, so I'm excited to do that. But I tell you one thing, I've got a really sweet little farm pond deal that we can get some awesome footage on of some top water and stuff. And I don't know if I told you this, but I got a drone.
Well, I've seen it in your intro.
I guess you've seen it in my old intro.
Yeah,
I brought out my drone, but I've got a DJI Mavic Pro Platinum that not only will we break that out probably on the river adventures, but we will also break it out on some top water.
Yeah.
I really want to get some cool like top water blow ups overhead of us like casting and all that. So one of the things I told myself this year is I'm going to focus a lot more on filming, and I don't know why, but that's really excited me. Like I've shot a lot of birds in my life, and I'm still going to be a hunter, but I also want to capture that for other people too, because like I told you from the start, like I think it's cool getting people into hunting, and that's kind of one of the things I really like to share with my channel. So kind of cool, but I promise you we will get some good rod and reel bass fishing down this spring and summer.
Yeah, that is certainly a goal of mine, is to have a lot more rod and reel, because I don't have any, and I do a lot. Unfortunately, you get older and you start working all the time, and then you're tired. You have stuff to do after work, and you don't have the time to go out and do all the stuff you want to do. You can do the things that you love to do at a higher level, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about, we don't sit on the riverbank anymore, but now I have a boat and we got all this cool stuff. You do it at a higher level, but you just don't have the time to do it as much. I don't do as much rod and reel fishing, which is kind of a bummer. But I feel like a lot of the rod and reel fishing I do is bait fishing, which can still make some interesting videos.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's actually like a trend on YouTube called micro fishing.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of that stuff.
You familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a very good time. I really enjoy myself when I'm out bait fishing, actually. It's just in and of itself, because you'll catch fish on rod and reel that you would, if you weren't fishing that way, you would never see that species on rod and reel because they're so small. Orange spotted sunfish are the most beautiful fish in fresh water.
Yeah, they're good fish.
And they only get like tiny, tiny, tiny. So unless you're using a tiny little hook and whoopee swarm, But that's all the rod and reel fishing I get to do. But I would love to go and shoot a video, just doing some. I don't do a lot of farm pond.
Yeah.
But we should just go and do that.
I want to do some. I caught a few catfish out of my kayak this year, rod and reel.
That'd be sweet.
I mean,
I tried.
I'm not very good at it, but I want to topwater bass fish this pond, and I'm going to show you when I caught it this later. But it's a great pond, and it's Kristen's grandma is who owns the property. So
that'd be awesome.
It's sick. Yeah. So we'll get out there and we'll do that.
I got a bass rod that I don't really get to break out much.
I use bait caster and I love it. I mean,
it's my only bait caster is my bass rod.
Yeah, I got a bait caster, I guess, in my catfish reel, but I don't know. You'll have to teach me how to rig up some stuff because I'm terrible. I'm one of those people where I just sit there and I just spin and spin and spin, and like I don't know how to tie a knot to save my life, so I probably lose fish because of that. But
we're talking about are you talking like on your bait caster, you get the bird's nest along?
No, like tying up to lures and stuff. I never did that side of things. Like my dad told me like twice and was like, here you go. Sure. He just doesn't like fishing. I mean, he'd go hunting with me and that was awesome, but the fishing side never really did. So we'll have to do some of that. But.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll totally. I got one knot I use for everything. It's like a modified uni knot. Well, I use that and I use a dropper loop. But for the most part, I haven't had a problem with those knots. So that's what I use. But yeah, that's cool. I mean, my dad didn't really, fishing and hunting just isn't his thing,
Yeah.
So he didn't really I mean, he would like take me out like when I was a kid to just do like the father son bonding fishing.
Yeah.
But like he's not like a fisherman, and I was like, here's how you do it. I'm the kind of person like when I like 4 things in life, and those 4 things I'm just gonna eat, sleep, breathe, and so like that's kind of thing. I got really obsessive with fishing and hunting, so I just kind of got obsessed about it and learned it over the years.
Yeah.
You know?
I always joke with people. I sit there at work and I work away so that I can pay for my outdoors, adventures. Whether it be, I love it at work. Is I'm obviously I work quite a bit, but I also have the luxury of my time off with work. Is I can get quite a few days away for a little bit of days of vacation, and I make the most of it. I'll take a 5-day hunting trip, and I'll make the most of it. Like, well, do you ever work? I'm like, well, it's the fall. What do you expect? I'm gonna be out hunting. That's what I work. I get 3 months out of the year that I get to go do this. It's the same thing like with Kristen, that she's like, oh, we're gonna have our wedding in September. I'm like, that's teal season.
September, girl.
Yeah, I'm like, I get 1 weekend a month, and I'm like, well, I guess this one time in our life I'll do that. But then we're going to October the next month for a week. My mom's like, are you kidding me? You're gonna do that after you just get married? I go, absolutely. I told her from the start, I hunt, and that's what I do. That's what gets me up. I say I love my job and my work and all my coworkers. But
you did tell her from the start?
I told her from the start. So I mean, she at least did, because she started going through. She's like, well, we could do this. I'm like, the earliest I know you want a fall wedding. We're gonna compromise. The earliest in the fall that we can do is what we're gonna do, because if you get into October, I can tell you one thing: I will not be there. I love you, but I won't be there.
I will email you my vows, and that's the best you're gonna get.
You can Skype me in, and I'll say I do, but after that, I'm gonna be hunting, because I get 1 weekend, and if I can do that weekend and I can get out with all those guys that sometimes I miss on a Sunday or whatever, and they got a Saturday off, man, we're gonna get out there and we're gonna get after them, even if we don't shoot anything, like you were talking about. It's the process of going through, your scouting, your hunting, all that stuff. It's creating memories. It's all the laughs. I mean, for me, I'm pretty. We talk about being detail oriented. Like, for me, my memory is I can go back and I can pick out different hunts, and I can tell you where we hunted, how many birds we shot. Like, that's what I focus on, and I'm keen on. And I can tell you all those memories of, little funny things of me falling in the water at this particular spot, or, somebody falling asleep and we're deciding that we're going to just blast off shotgun shell. Oh, my dad, we got him so bad. I had one time where he was sitting there sleeping on the chair, and we just fired off, and we were laughing so hard. He fell off the bucket, and oh man, it was a good time. And those are just things you never forget. And if you aren't in the field, you don't get those.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, it's important. And I know some other guys that have gotten into like taking people out with like youth hunts and things like that. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If I had more time, I totally do more of that. I'd love to.
I've gotten a new person into duck hunting and that's the thing. You love to share it with people.
Yeah.
And in my ideal situation, like, I would love to just get, like, all these guys that I hunt with, I just want to like get them all up to speed and just have like my hunting group just be like rock solid, But I like to try and take guys that are like my friends that are already kind of interested in the outdoors and be like, listen, this duck hunting thing, you're going to love it. Because I got Andy into duck hunting years ago. We started duck hunting together in maybe 2015 or 24. I don't remember exactly. 15 or 14. I got Justin into duck hunting. I told Matt, Indiana Jones, I'm like, listen, you're duck hunting. Whether you want to or not, you're going to. We're going to take you through hunter safety, and then you're going to duck hunt. I like getting up, getting the guys out to learn how to duck hunt, so they can hopefully share these experiences that I've gotten to enjoy,
Yeah. I think one of the really cool things that, as I've kind of started looking at taking new people and things like that, is the new apprenticeship program that they have through the state of Iowa. Have you seen that at all?
Yes, I think. I'm aware of it. I might be getting mixed up with something.
So
now
the
that I mentioned that.
No, you're
Go
okay.
ahead and say what it is.
So the apprenticeship program, basically what it is somebody that has not taken hunter safety. What they can do is you can go in and you can pay. It's like a $30 fee, and then you have to get all the additions. So that's like your hunting license, but then you have to do like all the migratory bird stamp, the habitat, all that on top of it. And there's different regulations depending on what you're hunting. Like for example, if you're hunting whitetail, you need to buy a deer tag or whatever.
Right.
But it's a year long, and you can do 2 years of this. And the apprenticeship program, pretty much what it is, it applies at any age level. So you can have it be a younger kid, obviously, or you could have it be clear up to an adult. Is you can take that person hunting for 2 years, and as long as they're hunting with a licensed and registered person, if you're there, they can physically hunt with you to kind of help boost, the awareness of what we do outdoors, the conservation side of things, which I think is great. I mean, not only are you introducing somebody new to the sport, but you're also then, I think of it as the conservation side. It takes money to get out there and maintain and purchase all the land that we get to go out there and utilize as public land hunters. And even on the private side, I mean, we hunt some private too, but that takes money. And so every single hunting license or whatever they sell, as much as people want to complain and gripe about it, it is getting reinvested. Whether it's the best way that it could be reinvested, debatable,
Sure.
But it is getting reinvested into what we do and what we love and the conservation side of things and giving us access to places we might not have had before. So,
yeah, I think the money gets used. I mean, as an overall, we can crack open another can of worms on that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave this subject at this for now because we're getting about to the end. We should probably wrap up this video, but we can talk about it in another video too. I think overall the system generally works. It's generally good. Our conservation and wildlife system that we have. There are definitely areas that can use some fixing and that can use some improvement. But overall, when you look at the rest of the world, we're not having, our game animals go extinct left and right and stuff like that. It generally works.
absolutely. I'd agree.
But you're right. It does take money. That comes from hunting licenses and duck stamps and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that comes from new hunters, hunter recruitment. So it's definitely an important thing to do.
And those are the people that are going to power it for years to come. I mean, as we look at, where the hunting industry is progressing and things like that, there aren't a ton of younger hunters that are getting into that because, for example, we skipped a generation. It's like my generation. It's not like it used to be where everybody could have gun racks in their windows and all that stuff. So it's something where being able to get people out and do that, I mean, that's a huge thing. And like we've talked about, take out a couple of new people and try to teach them the right way to do things. And you never know. I mean, that could just spur something where not only is it a friendship for a lifetime, because I think hunting provides an additional edge of friendship and something extra you can talk about. There's just a deeper connection, in my opinion, whether it's hunting, fishing, anything outdoors, you get a deeper connection because not only do you understand that person in a deeper way, but, you're also then, appreciating everything that we have. And
I've had some of my deepest conversations in the duck blinds, some of my buddies.
And some of the most hilarious.
And so, that's the crazy thing. It's like how quickly it can shift moods. Like I've talked everything from gotten deep into the weeds and friendly discussions to with talking religion with Justin to joking around and making fart jokes in the same hunt. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how much that the relationships are like more dynamic in a duck blind.
I agree.
Understand. It's crazy. But
there's just something different about it, and you have to experience it in order to fully comprehend the context of it.
Yeah, it's incredible. So I guess really, I mean, everybody starts somewhere. We kind of detailed a little bit about how we got started. Make sure to check out our channels. You guys kind of see where we're at now. Remember, Colton is Chasing Iowa Outdoors. I'm Deeply Driven Outdoors. If you can, find somebody that is interested in hunting, if you think they'd be a good candidate to get out and hunt, and try and show them the ropes, show them what it's all about. It helps preserve hunting for the future, really. makes it bigger, makes it better.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, guys, check out our YouTube channels. I know we said it a couple times. Zach is Deeply Driven Outdoors. My name's Colton. I'm with Chase and Iowa Outdoors. We're going to be posting some of these hunts. If you want to, drop a comment on what you would like to see us talk about. Share some of your first-time hunting stories. We'd love to read those, and we might even drop some of those in the videos or in the podcast for future references. But thanks for tuning into the HF&O podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Catch you later.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah, bud.
That was sweet.
Dude, this is a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
I mean, I learned so much about just how you started. And,
yeah.
And that went freaking smooth.
Mm-hmm. Except for the recording damn.
Oh.